Okay, now then, let's talk to Tony Mason, who was too young at the time. Come on, Tony. It isn't like me to say Tony Mason was too young. Tony, you missed out on this event, didn't you? It was just, as we said, before your time.
Yes, I was still at school. I did actually go marshalling, and marshalling in Europe mainly. So I was meant to go to South America, but that didn't happen. So I had a very small role to play, but we were marshalling around Europe in SCARLETT Autocar, and then down at Lisbon when all these lucky people got on boats and went on to South America.
Did you ever think, one day I'm going to do this sort of thing myself?
Well, I was doing a bit of rallying then actually, yes, but it was mostly confined to the Lake District in Wales. So, yeah, and I remember that it was a very good opportunity to meet other very well-known people that I possibly didn't know at that time. Val, Don Lawley and Val, people like that were all marshalling, you know, and so I met a lot of these people, and it probably helped in my rallying career. But yes, I certainly remember it vividly. I remember these cars, I remember them coming through. I actually had been in this car shortly after it won. I was a very precocious sort of secretary of the Waltham Car Club, and I asked Stuart Turner if he could send this car up to our autocross near Kendal.
I don't think they've paid the bill yet, John Neville.
And blow me, Bill and Stuart had already organised this car to come up to Kendal to a little minor autocross meeting, and Hanno came as well because he was doing the training. He was based in Britain for a couple of months, and Hanno came, and I sat in that passenger seat with my microphone and did a commentary going on round and round this field in the Lake District. And
there are still people today, and Ted Taylor's here who will confirm this, there are still people today who don't know just how tough this event was. I mean, you can confirm just how tough it was even at that range, can't you?
It was, and the pressure was really on. I remember, I mean, they were really racing with the SCARLETT in the Ultra Road, and it was very, very competitive. And my other great memory was the Russian Moskvich team, which I see is represented here today, and the leader was Major Lifshitz, which I thought was quite a nice name. And I remember.
All right, we better not say that again. Go on, say it again.
Well, he was actually Major Lifshitz was balking another of the Moskviches, or vice versa, and they stopped in my control, and one of them, the guy behind, got out and came and started thumping him. And I thought that was pretty good. So there was a big Russian fight going on in the little square in Seagull.
Well done, Tony Mason, ladies and gentlemen. Now then, who else? A poor man who never got out of Europe, Paul Easter, who is known for not wanting to be famous ever. But Paul Easter, come and talk to me. The man who tamed people like Timo Mäkinen, the man who set off on this event in a Mini, for God's sake. Did you really expect to get very far in a Mini?
No, we didn't. As far as San Marino.
Did you? And you were one of these unfortunate people who tried to go and practice stages and found they were under snow half the time.
We snowed up in the Wembley for 3 days.
That sounds romantic, that does.
Well, it was with the crowd I was with. Done a lot and all sorts of it.
But see, I mean, seriously, what would you have done if you got to South America? Would you have had shock?
We'd been shocked. We'd like hoped to get to Lisbon and at least see South America. But we weren't expecting to see Mexico.
Bill Price is over there somewhere. Bill, can you tell us just what the instructions were? Can you say it fairly loudly? What were the instructions from you and Peter Browning to these guys in the Mini?
So like now, I think.
And didn't you say, we would love to see you leading at Lisbon, and that will do?
I think that was the main object of the exercise, was to try and win the European leg, yeah.
One last comment, I think, from, let's have Bill Barnett. Come on, Bill. Dear old Bill, who's now been retired from Ford Motor Company for about 20 years. You look about 40, I have to say, Bill. Nice to see you again. Bill Barnett was Stuart Turner's deputy for some years, a thankless job. I'm told your claim to fame on the World Cup round was that you didn't actually go on it.
No, I didn't, because Stuart, being the crafty so that he was, decided I was going to do the Austrian Alpine Rally at the same time. So I never ever got to South America.
And yet the famous Barnett Bibles were the thickest ever seen, weren't they?
I'm told they got about 14 or 15 sections, I think.
Bill, this event must have taken over your professional life for months, because there was really no time for much else, was there? In the winter of 69-70?
No time at all. It was a hell of a lot of work, but there you go. But and it won. What pleased me more than anything was that Hanno Mikkola was the person who won it.
Interesting, and I won't bring it back, but Brian Coates has said to me more than once, we never expected Hanno to win, because for the previous year he'd crashed almost every time he'd started an event.
No, he didn't. He won more rallies than the Escort and Anybody else?
Right, seconds out in the corner. Bill Barnett. Thank you very much, Bill, for that. Now let me see, there must be at least one other person. Let me talk to the chairman of the AVO Owners Club. Come on, Alan, you weren't expecting this. But there are clubs, whole clubs have grown up around the rallying hobby. The AVO Owners Club, of which I'm happy to be an honorary member. You just love this car and everything to do with AVO cars, don't you?
Yeah, we certainly do. Not myself, but also the members of our club. It's forward of kind of lighted thousands of imaginations in the past, and we've got such a great following for these cars. The Mark 1 Escort is just a kind of a legend in many young people's hearts. It's still very popular. We're, in fact, our club's been going for 30 years this year, and we've got such a young membership still. It's unbelievable.
Thank you for that. Now I'm going to ask for one other interviewee, and then we're hoping to stop John and go for a cup of tea and things. Great. Michael Scarlett, again, he wasn't expecting it. Come on, Michael, let's have you on this. Here's the man who kept the red arrows in control for 6 weeks, the poor sod. I kept seeing him, he was getting greyer and greyer and greyer. Michael Scarlett, who was one of my colleagues on Autocar for some time, looked after the red arrows in an Austin Maxi. Unforgettable.
One of the most unlikely rally cars at this stage.
As you were leaving the start, I noticed that you were actually scribbling notes as the car went off the starting line.
That's right.
Unforgettable?
Oh, you bet. Tremendously good.
Were you still speaking to each other afterwards?
Oh, very much so. In fact, more so than we had done first. You know, we got on very well.
And I'm told that you were miffed at the end because you didn't finish last and you thought you deserved to be.
Well, not much deserve, but yes, we thought we'd done it. We got in about sort of 8 o'clock on the finishing night, and I think the chap was called Doug Harris was out in an escort out in the wild somewhere, and we were told that he wasn't in Reagan, but we thought we stayed up till about midnight. He still hadn't come. He had to have some early time in the morning to make it, and he did blow it, so we didn't finish the last finish.
Instead of being 23rd, you were 22nd. Right, I think I've talked to almost everyone here, thank goodness for that, it's all great. John Kitchen's been making signs to me, but Alan Zafer, as usual, it was always the same. Alan Zafer wants the last word because his name starts with a Z. So Alan Zafer was, of course, a very senior PR person because Leyland at the time. Alan?
An occasion like this really shouldn't go without mentioning Pat Mellor, who was the motoring correspondent of the Daily Mirror, and actually sold the idea to the Mirror management, along with Wilton Dixon, who actually sort of thought about the whole thing in his flat in Gerrard Street, just by the police station. And it's due to them selling the idea to the Football Association, the Mirror, and all the things that this actually event ever happened. And I think a great deal should be thought about of what they did, and we're here 40 years later, still celebrating a great idea and a great motoring correspondent.
Thank you for that, Alan. I will wind this up very neatly, I hope, by saying that Alan Zafer is by no means the oldest person here, but he probably sits in the oldest and most famous office throughout his working life, because Alan now occupies the original premises near Baker Street, London, where W.O. Bentley built his first car in 1919. He'll tell you all about that later. Now, John Kitchen, are we on for a cup of tea? Cup of tea and a sandwich and nibbles for you, ladies and gentlemen. Do enjoy. We made it on time.